I want to just use the short amount of time to talk about why arts and culture. Why do we have to care about arts and culture? So first, art is not a nicety. Art and culture are a necessity. Cultural change, thank you. And I'll tell you why. Because cultural change precedes political change. Before you have any kind of shift in laws, you have to have a shift in consciousness. And we've witnessed this. Marriage equity is a great example of this. Before you had the Supreme Court ruling, you had TV shows like Ellen, you had Rachel Maddow, you had the L Word, you had interventions in the culture that were made possible because of institutions like GLAD, who realized that without culture, we can't win. And what do I mean by culture? I mean the fine arts, the film industry, what we eat, how we socialize, our faith, what we listen to, what the visual culture that surrounds us. So when I first met Eva, she was talking about implicit bias. And I was able to follow her. I gave a speech right after her at this funder gathering. And what I said is that implicit bias is solidified by the culture around us. So when you have a TV, when you have a Hollywood sector, where 98% of television executives, screenwriters, actors are white, then do you wonder why it is that judges and police officers have implicit bias when they treat the way they interact? You know, when we look at children's books, 76% of the characters in children's books are white. 12% are animals, and about another 12% are kids of color. And if you look at films, I mean, go to the movie theater and count how many times you've seen a woman of color as the primary protagonist. So when you have these kinds of culture around us, it's no wonder that we're not winning. You know, and this has been studied by neuroscientists. Humans don't listen to a 10-point policy platform. Humans react through emotions. And the way that you get to people's emotions is through art. Art is one of the most powerful ways we have. And it's very sad that our social justice sector has invested so little in the arts. Reagan was so smart to dismantle the NEA. You know, Reagan has dismantled the arts and culture sector of this country, and we're still recovering. And when you think about the fact that 4 out of 5 working artists are white, in all sectors, okay? I'm talking literature, film, every single thing that you enjoy, music, all of that is dominated by one narrative. Then we have to understand how far we have to go in order to win. Because until white people in this country begin to really humanize people of color and to understand them the way they understood Ellen, the way that you connect with someone is when you feel it in your heart. And this is why artists are so critical. This is why we as a sector who cares about social justice need to invest in arts and culture. And we need to take on cultural inequity. Because if you look at the funding, if you look at who's getting the money, it's disgusting. Actually, when you look at that 2%, even though Latinos, for example, we make a 40% of the state, we get 2% of cultural dollars. It's a crime. And so I am here to say that we need to seriously really look at arts and culture not as a nicety, but as a necessity in order for us to win. And that without culture, we're not going to win. You have a political, organizing, legislative sector, and then you need the arts and culture sector. And that's who I'm here to represent. I'm really honored that the Equal Justice Society actually explicitly supports art, and I'm here to ask all of you to really think about how over the next 10, 20 years we can transform and we can take on cultural inequity, and 10 or 20 years that we will have TV shows that actually reflect us. You know, migrants, women of color, queer, immigrant families, mixed status families. That's how we're going to win. So thank you so much for honoring me tonight.